I'm here this afternoon with Chet Arnold. He was nominated by the Essex Land Trust to receive the Tom ODell Distinguished Service Award. And so we're here just to briefly talk and find out a little bit more about him.
I'm most associated with the Center for Land Use, Education, and Research at UConn, which is called CLEAR. It's a small group of people that do a whole number of different things having to do with geospatial technology, land conservation, water preservation, and our target audience for CLEAR is primarily, not exclusively, but primarily local land use officials that are making these really critical land use decisions that, in the 169 towns of Connecticut.
And Nemo, what was that?
Well, Nemo gave birth to Clear. So
Okay.
10 years before that, in the early 90s, I was with the university and got involved in the Long Island Sound Study, which I think most of your members would know about.
Mhm.
And although the focus was on pollution of the sound from sewage treatment plants, there were a number of us that were interested in trying to figure out the contribution of polluted runoff to the sound, or non-point source pollution. That put me in contact with the remote sensing experts at UConn, who I had not met before. They were in a different department of Natural Resources, and a planning colleague of mine at UConn, and we came together and formed the Non-Point Education for Municipal Officials, or NEMO program. That's still going on. We've worked with virtually every town in Connecticut, and I should just say that we also had a national network at one point. It's no longer really active, but we had 33 projects in 30 states, all patterned after what we had developed here in Connecticut. And that was those were good times. We had great annual meetings uh, and a lot of people that were all working on this kind of up and coming issue of polluted runoff.
Let's talk a little bit about the experiences that you had on the Land Trust.
Okay. The mid 1990s, I joined Essex Land Trust, and I joined it for totally selfish reasons. And actually, wasn't as much my professional interest as that there was a big property behind my house that I was afraid was going to get developed.
Okay.
So I found out about land trust in general, the Essex Land Trust. But I was there, yeah, and I served for a 17 or 18-year time on the board. At which point I did a stint as 2 stints as vice president. And the Essex Land Trust, we kind of do a VP going up and on your way down, and president, and was the originator of the Land Acquisition Committee, along with Paul Greenberg, who's another board of director friend of mine. And the big thing about the Essex Land Trust and my tenure there is during the time in 1998, really, and on, when we started to be proactive and really look at natural resource-based planning as a way to approach land use acquisition instead of just taking what people might give you.
Yeah.
And no offense to the small land trusts that don't have any alternative but to do that, but we were in a position, I think, to do a more proactive job. And so we got one of the very first Connecticut DEP watershed grants, and that quickly followed. We acquired 7 or 8 or 9 properties, all in a fairly short period of time, all almost funded by a partnership between the town of Essex, the Land Trust, and Connecticut DEP.
And I believe that during your tenure that you might have been involved with the purchasing of 1,700 acres of open space.
Yeah, we're more like 700 in Essex, Tony. We're a little more modest.
Okay.
But
I'm mistaken.
well, it's a small town, and that's actually, I think, what we're most good at and most proud of is that we have 24 properties, and it's about 800 acres,
Okay.
32 miles of trails. But it's a small town, and it's a town that's been developed for a long time, and there's not big 700-acre farms or forest areas there to, as some of the towns around here have. So we've had to piece like corridors together very strategically. And there's some corridors we've been working on for 20 years and they're not linked up yet, but we're playing the long game, or we're trying to. And I think we've been very successful at it.
I know you have a very active stewardship program that you really do maintain your properties.
We definitely don't feel like the job of a land trust is just to buy land and then just leave it alone. I mean, there's a lot of stewardship beyond even just the trail building and clearing the snags and that obvious stuff. And we have, I think, 36 active stewards for these 24 properties, and a stewardship leader who's just terrific. And we try to really maintain the properties. And we get a lot of good comments from people, not just from Essex, but from outside about how much they enjoy those 32 miles of trails. We just got a grant to do some really forward-thinking and climate-related stewardship in one of our properties that has both farmland habitat and forest habitat.
Climate, an effect it has on open space. Obviously, not only climate, but invasive species in terms of both plant and bugs. I know use that word.
Yeah.
But I know I have beech trees in my
Yes.
on my property, and they are not in good shape. And so, does that increase the amount of stewardship that needs to be done?
Yeah, I mean, we're on the cusp of that whole wave of the latest disaster, the beech leaf disease, and we have a lot of properties that are really suffering. I mean, you can walk through the properties in the middle of July or August when I'm used to it being deep and dark under the trees, and the sunlight is pouring through. Right?
Yeah, same with my property.
This project on the Johnson Farm, we hope to really be one of the first folks in the state to try to actively address that. So on the shrub and grassland half of this property, we're going to be basically mowing everything to the ground and reseeding and really doing some major engineering to maintain that very valuable and rare shrubland habitat. The forested half, we have a lot of invasive species, particularly barberry, and we have beech trees just dying all over the place. And so we've just gotten a CLCC planning grant to get management plans for both sides, both of those different types of habitat. And now that we know we got the implementation grant, we'll be starting to do the work in next month probably.
Yeah, I just want to touch on one other aspect of the land trust.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's open to the public, and I know you run programs.
Our properties are all open to the public. I think with the exception of we have a little on, we have some properties on the pendant salt marsh bar in the Connecticut River, the Great Meadow, which is just, there's no way to get there.
Right.
And we have a very active events group. I mean, every board meeting is just a list of there's walks, we do things like concerts, like more social type events. We sponsor lectures, sometimes with the library or the garden club. And so we really have an active group of people doing that. And again, we didn't mention this, but Essex Land Trust is totally volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, including the board, and so each member of the board, unlike a lot of boards I've been on in the past, has a real specific job that they have to do.
Okay.
And so it's just a hardworking, very impressive board. I mean, I can say that because I left it and I came back, and it was a different group of people for the most part. Incredibly impressive group of people.
Very good. Well, congratulations on receiving the Tom ODell Distinguished Service Award.
Well, thanks so
And
much.
we look forward to the event on October 8th at Wadsworth Mansion.
Congratulations on your 90th anniversary.
Well, thank you.